We're welcoming in our panel tonight. We have former Democratic New York State Senator David Carlucci and former Republican National Committee spokesperson Elizabeth Pipko. Appreciate both of you being here. And of course, this is not the reason that we initially wanted you to come on the show tonight, but certainly want to get your reaction to this because, Elizabeth, we'll start with you. 4 weeks to the day from the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. What are your thoughts on this shooting near the White House tonight?
Well, look, it's horrible, and I thank you for having me on. But like you said, was not meant to be on for this reason, and I'm kind of tired to have having to come on and have these conversations. You mentioned that White House Correspondents' Dinner. I was sitting in this very seat waiting to go on NewsNation to discuss the White House Correspondents' Dinner when that shooting happened or attempted shooting happened. I cannot tell you how many times this has happened to me over the course of the last few years that I meant to do a media hit on some totally unrelated topic, and then something horrific happens and everything changes, and it seems as though it's happening more and more and more. I've been doing this for almost a decade now, and I can tell you the last few years have been dramatically worse than the start. I was, working doing this. I was on this very channel the day that President Trump was shot during his Butler rally. My father-in-law was sitting behind him, and I can tell you the seconds that went by before I could reach him felt like the longest hour of my life. This is nothing new to those who work in media and politics, but unfortunately, it's also nothing new to the American people who just want to go about their everyday lives as well. And it's really, really tragic. I thank God that so far I believe everyone's okay. You mentioned a civilian that was shot. I'm praying for them right now. Thank God the president is okay. But how do we move forward from here as a country when Americans have to worry about this happening every single day?
David, how do we move forward together as a country?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question, but it's one that I think we could at least focus on the issue of firearms, right? This person, a young man, 21 years old, he had been known by the Secret Service. There was a stay away order by the judge because of 2 incidents that happened last year around this time. And yet still that he had a firearm. How did that happen? We don't know, right? Maybe he bought it. Maybe he stole it. But those are questions that we need to know because this is a problem, like Elizabeth said, that happens all too often. Many instances like this happen every day in the United States. The reason why we're talking about this one is because it happened at the White House or near the White House. So I'm hopeful that we can address that issue. But unfortunately, this always turns to just about mental health. And of course, mental health is an important part of the conversation, but it's not the entirety of the conversation. We need to continue to do things on mental health and get people support that they need. But we also need to make sure that not anyone can get access to a firearm. We've seen that all too often. And unfortunately, we just see politicians turning, a deaf ear towards that situation. But I'm hopeful that something can come from it and we can have a conversation on how we can protect people, keep them safe, and still enjoy our Second Amendment right.
Elizabeth, what's your response to that?
Well, look, I don't think the night like tonight is the right time to have a debate on the Second Amendment. I'm someone who believes that a good guy with a gun is always someone you want around when, God forbid, a bad guy with a gun comes around. So I don't believe that's the answer here. I also think that on a night like tonight, we want to try to figure out why this is continuing to happen, why it's, by the way, on the rise. Our gun laws have not changed, right? Something else has changed in our country. There's a reason people feel so divided. There's a reason so many people feel demonized. There's a reason this is continuing to happen and only getting worse and worse. And I hate to be the one to say this, but it's certainly been happening more, at least in my lifetime, in the last few months that Donald Trump has been back in the White House than it happened before that. I fear what's going to happen moving forward. And again, I just hope that we can have the conversations like we should be having tonight, which is how do we stop this? How do we bring people together? How do we fight this epidemic? And how do we make sure it doesn't happen again?
David, House Republicans are already saying on X that this was an act of political violence. Do you see it as such?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, we know that this person had made threats in the past. But again, it's going back to this was someone that was hospitalized. That's what we do know. Obviously, this person was not right, and that's unfortunate. But we do have to address the issue that political violence is something that we hear more and more about, and we have to condemn it wherever it raises its head. So, yes, it seems that way, that there's political motivation, but it might have been something just, about mental illness and the fact that this person was claiming to be God, was claiming to be Jesus Christ. He had said that over and over again, and part of the reasons why he was detained, hospitalized, and issued that stay-away order. But I think as we have these conversations, we need to have them in their entirety, right? How do we calm the rhetoric that is going on? How do we make sure that we condemn political violence wherever it pops up? But also we talk about safety, in keeping people safe and making sure that not anybody can get access to a firearm. It just seems all too easy that these stories happen on a daily basis, and the numbers don't lie. We see a consistent amount of homicides and deaths every year from gun violence. So I think that's another part that we need to tackle.
Elizabeth, we also see the House GOP posting on X just this morning about this alleged assassination attempt on Ivanka Trump tied to Iranian terrorists. She is safe. Is the level of threat concerning to you at this time for the president and his family?
Look, the level of threat is always concerning, I think, unfortunately, for any American politician in 2026. I think none of us, whether you like President Trump or hate him, can deny the fact that the threat level against him is something that many of us have never seen and never hoped to see in our lifetimes. I've witnessed it, like I said, myself, having worked for him, knowing his family very, very well. I worry about them constantly. I hear about the horrific threats that they get, the mail that they get, the people who follow them and say horrible things to them and about them. And I worry. And of course, at a time when we're in this conflict with Iran, we have a regime that's wanted to end the United States of America for decades now. So none of this is surprising. They threatened President Trump many times over the last 10 years. It's horrific that that's now extended to his family. But I think we should all be very, very concerned. And again, we should make sure that our rhetoric in the United States of America about our president never echoes those that we hear from the Iranian regime.
Elizabeth Pipko, David Carlucci, appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're staying on top of this breaking information tonight. A threat thwarted thanks to the quick action of Secret Service, but those shots fired outside of the White House around 6 p.m. Eastern. That suspect now being identified by law enforcement as Nazir Best, 21 years old. He is deceased tonight. As we learn new details about his previous encounters with law enforcement, our NewsNation coverage returns in just moments.